Ready?
Welcome to the Nut Gallery Review. We bring you the news on the media that shapes your world.
Welcome to episode 173. I'm Jason Schulte.
I'm Sean McFadden.
And I'm Mike Anstead.
I thought I would start out talking today a little bit about some of Disney Star Wars projects that they've announced, which is a long list.
It is a long list. It's almost like they just dropped their own video game console.
I was literally like, my mind was so blown on that Thursday that they had the investors meeting. I was just like, what is going on? I can't handle it.
So just to run down the list real quick, Lando.
Yeah. They haven't announced that it's Donald Glover, right? Yet. They haven't.
Not that I'm aware of. I would guess they would go a younger version.
That would be okay. And he did a great job in Solo. He was the bright, shiny part of that movie.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Rogue Squadron.
Which, yes, absolutely.
I'm all here for Patty Jenkins. She's amazing. Wonder Woman director. Yeah, good stuff.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's what I've been waiting for.
What are your thoughts on Hayden Christensen coming back?
I'm okay with it. I mean, absolutely. Why not?
The Bad Batch.
Which this was the old story, like the Knights of the Old Republic one, or
no? So this is going to be right after the Clone Wars, and in the newest season that Disney Plus released of the Clone Wars, the final season to wrap up the story.
Right.
There's a group in there called the Bad Batch, and so it's going to be an animated show on them specifically.
Okay.
So
cool.
I'm just finished The Mandalorian this morning. The final.
No
episode.
spoilers.
I won't. I'm just saying. I just finished it, and now I think I'm going to binge Clone Wars because I never watched it. So, but
yeah, I'm only about halfway through. That's the second season, so I know
you're in for an amazing ride, my friend.
I know that there's some big surprises because it's hard to avoid those announcements. But yeah,
I will say this: it is the best Star Wars in a long, long time.
So far it has been. They're mini movies. They really are. Almost every episode. So
it's the best Star Wars right now.
Nothing to complain about. Moving on though, The Acolyte,
which sounds good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Andor.
I've
heard very little of this. Have you guys heard more?
This one's with one of the characters from Rogue One. The main guy in Rogue One, I believe, is going to be the main character. In this.
Oh, okay.
So,
Visions.
I don't know this one.
And do you know something, Mike?
No, actually, okay. I'm blanking on this one.
Rangers of the New Republic,
which looks cool. I like what they're doing there.
I believe they're going to also tie in some video games with a few of these as well.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Rangers of the High Republic, you said, right?
New Republic, I
thought.
New
Republic.
Okay.
A Droid Story.
Which, I mean, I get they've got the license and they have the ability to make all of these. At this point, I think they're throwing about a dozen of these out and maybe about half of them are going to make it. So I think this is just a let's see what catches kind of thing. But that may just be me.
Yeah, no, you might not have continuing seasons, but at this point, anything that Jon Favreau touches, I'm game for. So with the Star Wars universe, and he's a creative. I don't think he's a creative lead on all these shows, but a creative consultant, I would say. He's on all these shows. Which to talk about the droid story, I'm kind of done with C-3PO. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm kind of done with C-3PO myself.
And then the last one was, I have no idea how this is pronounced, but Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's gonna be cool.
That's gonna be a great show.
Oh my gosh. And since Mr. Jason is only halfway through, we can't talk anything about that.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
All right, moving on to movies for January. And unlike most Januaries, this actually has a few things. I'd actually say it has a bigger lineup than most Januaries. So starting right out on January 8th is The Devil's Light. A 25-year-old nun named Sister Anne performs exorcisms and wards off demons while also combating a sexist church that believes only priests should be allowed to perform exorcisms.
That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing another midnight release here in Sean's.
He's probably going to rent it directly from them to be broadcast directly by satellite to his house.
Man, we have visual now. I can't flip you off on camera. So.
January 15th, Mortal Kombat, a reboot of the series, which is based on a popular video game franchise.
That got moved to April.
Did it?
I believe so. I'll double check, but
yeah, that's fine. I double checked them about 3 weeks ago, so it could have very well been moved. I was actually talking to one of my coworkers who's surprisingly a Mortal Kombat fan, though I didn't know that she had ever played video games. And she was just like, "What? A new movie?"
April 16th.
Okay.
And then that will be day and date into HBO Max as well.
So we'll talk about this again then.
Yeah.
January 15th, Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway.
Nice.
The rabbits have created a makeshift family, but despite his best efforts, Peter can't seem to shake his mischievous reputation. Venturing out of the garden, Peter finds himself in a world where his mischief is appreciated. But when his family risks everything to come looking for him, Peter must figure out what kind of bunny he wants to be. The first Peter Rabbit film grossed over $350 million worldwide.
Which I'm still trying to come to terms with.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was like, okay, all right. But, I mean, there was nothing special about it.
When my son was into Peter Rabbit, we still have the book, and he was into it for a little bit, and I started showing him that movie, and it just wasn't that good. So
you didn't like it?
I mean, I don't know. It
has moments.
It has some charm to it, but
it has
for
moments.
The most part.
But past those moments, it's just a forgettable movie.
Mm-hmm.
January 15th, Wrath of Man. It's an armored truck heist movie about a mysterious worker at a cash truck company that moves hundreds of millions of dollars around Los Angeles each week. Stars Jason Statham and Josh Hartnett. Directed by Guy Ritchie. It is an English language remake of a 2004 French film.
There you go.
I mean, it's got some nice names attached to it. Guy Ritchie, Jason Statham, Josh Hartnett. Why not? I'm intrigued.
I remember back when Josh Hartnett was listed as like the next big action hero.
Yep, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kind of faded.
Yeah.
I even remember that. I was a youngin' when he was like pretty big, and then all of a sudden, nope.
And finally, wrapping up the month is on January 29th is The Little Things. A burnt-out Kern County deputy sheriff named Deke teams with a crack LASD detective Baxter to reel in a wily serial killer.
So we have 3 movie releases?
Yeah, because I just verified a couple of the other ones that were delayed.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
I believe the last thing is another one going straight into HBO Max. So you can enjoy it from your home if you want, or mask up and get to a theater. That's supporting it. So
Well, I mean, HBO Max has certainly made some adaptations to the pandemic that hey, we're already in your house, might as well join us if you want to see these new movies. So
Yeah. So I guess out of that, I guess the Wrath of Man is probably my top pick out of that.
yeah, I don't want to go see Peter Rabbit, that's for sure. So
I'm pretty interested in the little things. It's I've been hearing some friends chat about it, and so it's been somewhat of an interest of mine to check out. So
very cool.
DVD, Blu-ray, and other direct video releases.
At home, we've got Love and Monsters starting out the week of January 5th. Essentially, monsters have taken the Earth, but he reunites, or he reaches out and finds out that his girlfriend is a little ways away. So he is now, having since sheltered this whole time, he's now going out into the wild to find his girlfriend again. We have 12-hour shift. A nurse trying to get by starts selling organs from deceased patients. And of course, something goes wrong with that. January 12th, we have Spell. Man trapped by a voodoo priestess. Essentially, she's got the rest of his family kind of trapped off, and she's got full-on voodoo on him. Jungleland.
Voodoo, the movie service, or the witchcraft?
Wow. Yeah, he can't get away from those horror movies. Yeah. Jungleland. A washed-up boxer gets caught up in the criminal underground. The only big name attached to that is Charlie Hunnam, who isn't the boxer, but I believe is like the boxer's brother or best friend. Then we have Lupin, the Third, the First. And it's a very confusing name, but essentially they're kind of they made a movie of the old Lupin the Third, like the 1970s, I want to say, anime series. So that was always entertaining, and they seem to have kind of caught the spirit of the characters. So I'm actually intrigued to see this one. We have Skylines, which did one of the mortal errors of changing the E to a 3, a la Fan 4 Stick. But it is the conclusion to the Alien Sci-Fi Skyline series, which I didn't even know there was a Skyline series, but
didn't know it existed.
Week of January 19th, we've got The Kid Detective. The Kid Detective has now grown up and is trying to rather unsuccessfully run his detective agency. We've got Dreamland. The big name attached to that is Margot Robbie. Looks to be set in the 1920s, and she is trying to escape the law. And you're kind of given that you're not sure if she's been framed or not. We have The Climb, which is a story about a toxic friendship. And everyone has basically given up on this one person except for his one friend. And he really treats that friend like crap. So not quite sure where they're going with this one. However, it is the highest reviewed movie on the release list this month. Then on January 26th, a week of, we have Synchoronic. It is a mind-bending drug where you're not quite sure if you're actually traveling through time and being able to do these fantastical things, or if it's all in your mind. Essentially, an EMT who finds out that he has a tumor in the center of his brain starts using this to essentially solve some things. And finally, we have Princess of the Row. It's a 12-year-old girl trying to take care of her homeless dad. Essentially, services want to come and take her, but she wants to stay and help her dad, who has some mental issues after serving in the Iraq War. And that is all our releases this month.
That feels very much like a typical January movie release. Like, hey, these aren't going to be big hits. Let's just get them out to get them out.
Well, there is also like a whole wheelbarrow full of just low budget horror movies coming out as well. But I mean, that was just...
How could you skip those?
Come on, dude. When I'm taking a look at him and the average like review is 3 out of 10, you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
People, those reviewers, it's probably like one reviewer, and they just can't appreciate the fact that these are low budget horror films.
I don't know. But that is our movie releases.
All right.
Video games,
got it. So coming out January 5th is Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid Saga continues. This is a PC brawler type story game based on the Cobra Kai Netflix series. It's on Netflix now. It used to be YouTube TV, but now it's on Netflix. So, which I've heard is super good. Have you guys caught any of it?
I have not caught any. No.
I've heard the same thing though, that people that watch it really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I've heard it's very 80s though.
What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying anything.
I mean, I was about to say
that,
it. I mean, I wasn't even born in the 80s, but what's wrong with it? Next on the list is MXGP 2020 PlayStation 5, January 14th. Racing game. There you go.
Yeah.
This one I'm kind of excited for because it is a re-release of a game that got delisted several years ago. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, complete edition.
Really? They're coming out with that?
They're re-releasing it. The complete edition comes out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, and PC on January 14th. So that's really exciting. This is a side-scrolling brawler set in the Scott Pilgrim. I would say the manga universe, not the film version. This is definitely based on the books. So
the characters themselves are very close to the manga. It's really close.
Yep.
I played this back in the day, and it was fun. I don't know. I mean,
in a lot of people's minds, it's a cult classic, and so for it to be delisted, it was
that is true.
Was pretty tough for them. But it is a really good game. I remember playing this co-op with a buddy. So next, a game that I'm pretty excited for is Hitman 3, which comes out on all the systems. Even Switch, actually. I was about to say except for Switch, but yeah, it comes out on the Switch as well. This is IO Interactive, who recently just announced a James Bond game, and Hitman 3 Hitman 1 and 2 have been lauded as some really good stealth.
I have one question.
Stealth game, yeah.
Isn't this like the 8th Hitman game though?
30th Hitman
You're
game.
Like, why are we calling it Hitman 3?
So IO Interactive rebooted Hitman, and so this is the third that they've made. So it's basically the game now is like small vignettes where you are trying to infiltrate and assassinate just in one sandbox area. It's not really like a story. I mean, each of the levels are contained in one story, but it's not necessarily like the Hitmans of old, where you're like playing through like a kind of cinematic story and stuff like that. So, this it looks amazing. I'm pretty excited for it. I've downloaded the other 2 Hitman onto my Xbox, so I do plan on checking those out before Hitman 3.
Played a little bit of Hitman 1, and it was. I like the location based. But it's more of timing. It's a lot of timing of like.
There's a lot more puzzles. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You got to get your timing right so you don't get seen, and you can do everything right and still fail.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yep. And they really go into it too. They have weird costumes that you have to wear sometimes, and they just really they really
Hitman game.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
And the one level I played, there was like 3 different ways to complete it, and there were achievements tied to like completing it these 3 different ways. Like one was dropping a boat onto a guy to kill him. There was just different ways. So
that was kind of
really
cool. This is the first one that will be on the new gen consoles as well. So I think they're really upping the game as to, what they're doing in each of the missions. So another racing game only coming to next gen called Ride 4, January 21. This next side scroller game by the makers of Shovel Knight, Cyber Shadow, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. So obviously you could play this version of the game on your Series X if you have the next gen Xbox, but another pixelated, Shovel Knight type game, but basically in cyberpunk situation. So looks really good.
You want to be careful with that word right now.
Yeah. We can talk about that later. I mean, whatever.
I think we probably will have to, won't we?
It's a huge issue.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. Stronghold Warlords, PC. This looks like just another PC like RTS style game, like Age of Empires. Next one. And coming to PC as well. It's called The Medium on January 28th. This one, guys, I'm really excited for actually to test out. It's really taking advantage of the next gen hardware. Have you guys seen the Ratchet and Clank, the new Ratchet and Clank, some of their videos, the new one coming out for the PS5?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, anyway, the Medium kind of does the same thing as that game, where you're in a mission, or you're in a place in the story where you can switch dimensions on a dime like that. There's no loading screens whatsoever. And so this is like a psychological horror where you're switching in between dimensions trying to figure out the mystery. So this one looks really cool. And then the Yakuza games are finally coming to Xbox, like all of them. The Remaster collection coming out to Xbox on January 28th. And I do believe that they're going straight into Game Pass, same as the Medium. So all those are going into Game Pass, which is pretty cool. So that's January for you.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Let's
talk
cyber
about
elephant.
The cyber elephant in the room. Yeah. So
I have lots of thoughts.
Well, to give our listeners kind of up to speed here, Cyberpunk 2077 was very anticipated for quite a long time, and
arguably the most anticipated game of the year.
Easily. And it finally dropped, and they're having all kinds of issues. To the point to where even CD Projekt Red, the developer of the game, issued an apology
and full refund.
Yeah, and basically, and good for them for owning up to it, but it's clearly, I think, a case of this game wasn't ready yet, and they just didn't want to delay it again because it'd been delayed so many times.
It was ready.
For
PC. It was ready for PC, and you can argue next gen consoles, because I've heard that it runs okay on the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. But I've
heard that on the PS5 it's still not running as well as it should.
No, like the console version as a whole, for the most part, is the issue here. Like PC has some bugs, but it is a decent experience. This is the craziest game. It is literally people's like worst game of the year, but also the game of the year. Like, because like depending on who you're talking to, if you're talking to somebody who's on PC, they're like, oh yeah, this is the best game I've played in a long time. But then you go to the console and you're like, I can't get past mission number 1 because it keeps crashing on me. Or if I do get past it, then I see a Nintendo 64 character on the side.
Yeah.
It's like, it's bug written. But yeah, I have thoughts.
I mean, I really do feel bad for some of the PlayStation owners, especially PS4 owners in particular, because evidently you can only play for up to about half an hour because of the persistent world and the way the memory coding is, that it just crashes. You can get about half an hour in and then it'll just shut down.
Yeah.
And that's a game that you're trying to get into and feel the world and, you know, really be a part of it. You can lose track of time real easily. And then to have your game just suddenly shut down, it's, oh my God, I can see why people are upset.
Yeah, I think, I agree that you buy a product, you expect it to work. You know, I think that the company has been pretty upfront with, look, we know we screwed this up. We're going to try to make it right. Either wait for the patch or we'll give you a refund.
Yes.
You know, PS and PlayStation has pulled it and saying we don't want to sell any more of these because we know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of people upset when No Man's Sky came out, and now it's a beautiful game. With all of the things fixed.
No, yeah, there's definitely a redemption story that Cyberpunk could have had, but CD Projekt Red should have been way more transparent about the console version. They didn't give reviewers console codes to review the game.
Yes,
because they knew
they weren't allowed.
They knew exactly. They knew of this issue. People playing the console version, you know, all the reviewers, all the influencers, they did not get a console code until they bought it themselves. And you know that CD Projekt Red, this is bad. Their leadership is just, it's tremendously awful. It's not good. I you know what they should have done is they should have, if they needed to release the game, release the PC version only, delay the console version again, because if it's ready enough where you could put it out on PC, which it seems like it is, then us console players need to just be patient and wait for another delay. And they shouldn't have released it in this case.
Yeah, you either buy it on PC or you wait for the version that works.
Yeah.
I do see one silver lining to this whole thing, though. This means that, you know, a year or two down the road, I'll be able to pick this up in, you know, a bargain bin for a couple of bucks, and they'll have all the patches and everything in place, and I'll get to play a nice AAA game for just a couple of bucks.
No, yeah, I agree. I've been contemplating not even purchasing the game in general, just because of the company's practices here. I think I will eventually get it, but like Sean said, I'll wait until I have my Series X, because I'm getting that this spring, and I'm gonna wait until it hits that bargain bin too, man. Like I don't want to play a game that, you know, especially with PS4 people, it crashes in 30 minutes, you know. Yeah. This is a rough one, but you know, kudos to them. I've heard amazing things about the game, you know, but mostly from PC players, and I'm excited for it. Like there's so many, apparently there's just so many things you could do with your character, it's just mind-blowing how much customization you have with your character, that, you know, the game itself, I've heard nothing but good things, you know, besides the bugs, you know, and everything.
Oh, there's all kinds of options there, not just with your character, but play style, you know, all kinds of different things. It's clearly a game that had, you know, good direction, and they have, you know, a lived-in world, a very clear and vivid and wonderful place to traverse there. It's just, unfortunately, right now, the hardware around it is not working with it to help us see that. So
yeah, my ultimate like take from this is that they should have just done the PC, and then I think they should have not even given it to the older consoles. Like just be honest with the community. Be like, hey, your PS4 can't do this. And like, it just can't. I mean, we're looking at people that look like N64 players, like, or a polygonal character from the PlayStation 1 era. Like, you're gonna have to upgrade to the PS5 or Series X to play this game. Just plain and simple.
Yeah.
And
All
people
right.
would have.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If I mean the next gen upgrade, the next gen version of the game is not even out. So that's already technically quote unquote delayed. So just be like, "Hey, we're sorry. We just cannot get this game to run on your base PS4. Your day one edition Xbox One. Like you're not going to be able to run this game. So we're just going to release it to PC right now. And then when the next gen version comes out, you're going to have to upgrade to the next gen console and bam, you can play Cyberpunk."
Well, that'll close out our discussion, I think, on video games.
Indeed.
Sure.
Movie classic of the month. Sean's pick.
It was my pick, and I decided to pick an old movie that, yep, I'd never seen but wanted to. And I picked the 1941 The Wolfman. And back of the box, Larry Talbot returns to his father's castle in Wales and meets a beautiful woman. One fateful night, Talbot escorts her to a local carnival where they meet a mysterious gypsy fortune teller. And that's it. So essentially, to sum up the movie, they go to the carnival, and our main character there does get bit by a wolf and then turns into a werewolf. And everyone in the area knows the whole story of the werewolf. But yeah, I mean, it's a 1941 movie, so there are certain things there. But what were you guys' thoughts on this one?
Well, I think of the classic monster movies. This is lower on the list of those.
Okay.
My opinion. It takes a long time to get to the Wolfman, and then when we get to the Wolfman, it's not like he does a whole lot as Wolfman.
Okay. All right. I'm glad you're on that page as well, because I really wanted to watch the Wolfman and really fall in love with him. And I'm not sure I actually enjoyed this movie. I spent a lot of the movie with my arms crossed, kind of shaking my head, because the main character, Larry Talbot, I don't know, he was a tool. Just
Plain and
man,
simple. Yeah.
Just I was like, dude, come on, you are being just. I mean, the way he treats like his quote unquote love interest is awful. Yeah, the way he treats her is just cringy in the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
The way that he just interacts with everyone except for his father is just like, dude, why are you being like this? I didn't actually like the main character at all. I didn't care for him. Mike, I cut you off there. How do you feel about this movie?
No, you didn't cut me off. That's fine. I have some nostalgia for these movies that I don't know if you guys have. My dad had these on projector, like old slides basically of these old monster movies, and so we would throw these up on his ancient projection machine and watch this, like The Creature of the Black Lagoon, The Wolfman, Dracula, stuff like this. This movie is it's the first time I've watched Wolfman in a long time, and this movie does not do Wolfman justice. I think Wolfman Meets Frankenstein is the better Wolfman movie.
It is. Thank you. I thought I was one of the only person that had seen that, but that's why I wanted to see the original Wolfman, was because I'd seen that movie and I was like, the Wolfman's intriguing. I want to see this. Okay, go on.
So that is the better movie. And then also, Wolfman is even better in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yes, yes, he is.
With that being said, Jason, you're one of those guys that really looks at like how a way a movie is filmed, and I don't think you could. I don't think you get better than this in some cases. Like the way it was filmed, you know, the set pieces that you have, like even that first like that second or third scene where they're in the observatory. It's just like this cool set piece. And then unfortunately that's where you get the tool, you know, because he's looking in girls, you know, houses with
he's looking in her window with a telescope.
Yeah,
he
with
is
the
being
telescope.
A total peeping
Yeah.
Tom.
You know, a little bit, but yeah, you know, I got to the end of this movie and you know, surprise, the Wolfman is in a big fight at the end. Spoilers, sorry. But
It's a 1941 movie. I think we can.
but like, I think I share the same sentiment as you. I got to the end of this movie and I'm like, I want more. Like there's not enough Wolfman in this movie for it to justify it being his own movie. I love the lore behind it. I love all that setup, but like make this like maybe 15-20 minutes longer and add some more Wolfman content into it, and I think you have a better overall movie.
I'm actually going to agree with you 100% on that. I think by the time we finally get the Wolfman, the movie's practically over. And I think we could have done with a little bit more of, you know, of the Wolfman himself and, you know, Larry Talbot's struggle with this, you know, of him kind of coming to terms with this. Because half the movie, they're trying to convince him that this is all in his head. That, you know, he just, you know, he's imagining these things. And yeah,
especially when watching some of those other movies like the Meet Frankenstein, you see like Lon Chaney, his character, you see him like somewhat have a little bit of control over like the Wolfman, and just like you don't get that sense in this movie, which is good. You know, you got to set that up,
right?
But it's kind of like the Hulk, right? Like the Hulk doesn't really get control of, you know, Bruce Banner rather doesn't get control of the Hulk for a long time, you know, and so this movie you got to set it up. Ultimately I do think if you look at it as like a noir film, like it's pretty cool, like the mystery behind it, them trying to solve like all of this. I think there's some really good tidbits there. But if you're gonna watch a Wolfman movie, watch Wolfman Meets Frankenstein. Or Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. Like, let's be frank, the movie's amazing.
it's better. It's a better Wolfman. It's a better Wolfman character.
I think we have a couple classics that'll come up at some point.
Well, I mean, to not go too much on a tangent, the Wolfman's better as a side character. He makes a more compelling statement. He's a more compelling character when he's a side character. When you know, and this movie focuses exclusively on him, and I think, you know, the two most interesting characters of this movie are the old gypsy lady and Larry Talbot's father, who is basically some sort of lord, and, you know, Talbot Castle and all of that. And those two characters are probably the most fleshed out and most interesting, and the ones that you invest in the most. And it's not Larry Talbot, who looks like he's like a WWE wrestler in a town of like regular people. Because I don't know if you guys noticed just the size discrepancy between him and all the other people. It's holy crap.
I mean, you know, and this might be the final thing I say, you know, but like Lon Chaney, to his credit, that's how his character was written. But I think he does a really good job. I think he's a good actor. I like him as the Wolfman and everything else that he does. But you know, yeah, overall, like it's okay. It's a good one. It's only an hour. Like we're saying this is not like, you know, it wasn't a dread to get through, you know, like it was still pretty interesting. So.
It was. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I'll go off of that point, though. I did check how much time was left a couple times, and that clearly indicates to me that I was not invested enough, that I was more worried about how much longer do I have to watch this than, you know, and a couple other things just to bring up is Bela Lugosi was the
was Bella
was a gypsy, and he actively campaigned to take on the lead role, and they went a different direction. And Mike, you kind of mentioned that I kind of geek out about sets and things. So I do really like the set that was the house, with the big fireplaces and the observatory. I like the haunted forest look with the kind of the fog going, which almost killed an actress, but she fainted and fell into the fog, and they didn't notice. I mean, until they took the set down.
Oh wow.
I believe the story was that after he attacks her, she's supposed to lay there, except that what they were using for the fog actually knocked her out, so she was just laying there and everything.
Was it tear gas? Like,
I don't know.
What's going on here?
And this is also the only
who put tear gas in this fog machine.
This is the only Wolfman movie to also not depict the moon. They talk about it being autumn, needing to be a bright thing, but they never show it. So that was kind of disappointing to me, because that's the classic view.
Yeah,
I remember, like you see the
looking up,
and the clouds come over, and then then the clouds dissipate, and then he's like the Wolfman.
Yeah.
The other part that really bothers me is they really goofed up. When he's bitten by the wolf, that is a Wolfman, but was transformed fully into a wolf.
Yeah, so because it's Bella, or
it's supposed to be, but they actually, so he doesn't transform fully into a wolf. He transforms into a Wolfman. So why did Bella transform fully into a wolf to bite him is really kind of a big goof.
Well, I was actually reading about that. Because the studio thought that it would be scarier for him to have this midway transformation, and he thought that would be spookier. In fact, the wolf that he wrestles with and kills was actually Lon Chaney's dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, I investigated that as well, Jay, because it's like, well, wait a minute, why?
I think this is a brilliant IP though. Like, I think, man, the lore behind it at least gives it. I think that if I wish they didn't screw up the Mummy with Tom Cruise, because they were like rebooting all of this Universal monster movies, and I would love to see a reboot of Wolfman actually. And with somebody who's like a progressive horror film director like Jordan Peele or something like that, just give somebody who is brilliant at it and take the reins. I think that'd be fun.
We did have one in 2010 with Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
but was it good? Are we talking?
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it.
I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
And we had Wolf with Michelle Pfeiffer a few years back too, in the 90s.
Yeah. We also had that one with Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah, Teen Wolf. Yeah, that's a good. Even that is a better werewolf. I will stand by my original statement that of the classic monster movies that came out, I would still put Dracula, The Mummy, Frankenstein,
Invisible Man, all those,
ahead of this one. Invisible Man, I'm not so sure about it because I haven't seen it, but of Dracula and those other ones, I would put this as the trailing them, just in quality of story and depiction of the monster.
Well, I mean, when you think of Dracula, like me personally, I go to that original Universal, actor, whatever his name is.
Bela Lugosi.
Sure. There you go. I think when you go back to the Wolfman, there's, you could think of Michael J. Fox even. I don't know, there's nothing super iconic about this film in particular until you see the Wolfman and meets Frankenstein and others. So.
Well, Jay, I'm going to agree with you that I think out of the old classic monster movies, this one it's not near the top. And Dracula, being done and everything, that was a good story, and this, I think, was a little bit more focused on the the effects of the Wolfman and we forgot about the actual story a little bit. So I'm going to agree with you a little bit that this is probably, I haven't seen all of them. I have not seen all of them. Of the ones I've seen, I'd probably put this one at the bottom.
I will add, though, at the end as a positive is the female love interest I thought was fabulous.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
So I'll leave that as a positive.
All right. We're going to close the vault on this one.
Closed. That leaves us with what have we been up to lately? I read Blue Exorcist 11, so I've been slowly creeping up in that series. I've been reading them before I want to watch the series, so I'm on book 11. I watched Annihilation, the sci-fi movie with Natalie Portman, and I will tell everybody, don't waste your time. It's awful.
Oh, really?
It was hard to get through. The whole story is centered around an event happens at a lighthouse, and it creates a barrier, and you have to go through this barrier to get to this lighthouse. The barrier's getting bigger, so it's jeopardizing towns and things.
Right. I remember.
So they take off, this group of women all take off to go to this lighthouse to figure out what happened there. Along their journey, they keep saying, well, when we get out of the jungle or out of this forest, we'll just go up the coast to get home. Why didn't you just go down the coast, the easy route to get there? Or why didn't you get in a boat and go there instead of going through this treacherous terrain and tackling bad things to get there? So just really the whole premise of the movie is flawed. I also watched a movie called Sexy Beast. It has Ben Kingsley in it as a gangster. It's a British film.
Right. How was it?
It's a pretty average film. It gets a little off track in places, but really cool premise. The main character, not Ben Kingsley, is a retired criminal, and he's retiring to this place in Spain and just wants to retire, and then Ben Kingsley comes in and convinces him to do one more job that has no risk. Well, the retired criminal spent 8 or 9 years in prison, doesn't want to risk going back. He's just happy to be where he's at.
Right.
And Ben Kingsley's character really is very childish at this point, and it really distracts from the movie. They rate it as one of his best performances, but I just really found his performance very childish. And then we've been watching Big Bang, as I've mentioned before, and we just watched 2 episodes that had Bob Newhart in it, and he's amazing. Yeah. He still is amazing. Just loved his character in this series. He's Professor Proton, one of Sheldon's
childhood idols.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And just really loved his presence in those, and just his deadpan responses to Sheldon are just amazing. And he's about to leave in this last episode, and Penny walks in, and he's like, hey, you know what, I'll stay and have some tea.
yeah. Oh yes, I remember.
So just wanted to give a shout out to Bob Newhart that he did an awesome job, and because I'm sure he listens regularly.
Yeah. Well, hey, I just watched him the other night in Elf, so
Elf is good.
So that you can transition right into that, Sean.
Okay. My girlfriend has been on a Christmas movie kick, so pretty much any movie we're watching has to have some sort of Christmas twist there. So, I've seen a fair amount of the Hallmark movies and movies not really worth mentioning. Got Elf in there, got gonna watch the Muppet Christmas Carol coming up there, which is a classic.
Mm-hmm.
Watching Big Mouth on Netflix, and just finished up Mandalorian this morning, so enjoying that. And yeah, that's pretty much been it.
I finished up Mandalorian as well this morning. If you're not watching it, you're doing yourself a disservice. Too good. And other than that, I've been moving, so I've been unpacking. I got a new house, so the time that I have spent is playing video games has just been Apex Legends. Just quick in and out. Don't have much time. Let's get a couple games in. Actually been reading, and there's an Avatar: The Last Airbender tie-in novel on Avatar Kyoshi. So and I read the first one and it was brilliant. I loved it. I have the second one. Haven't started it yet because Ready Player 2 came out. So I've actually been reading Ready Player 2, and I'm about 100 pages in, and so far I really like it as well. So Ready Player 1 is probably one of my favorite books I've ever read. So yeah.
So
Ready Player
that
2
being
is a good sequel so
said,
far. Mm-hmm.
Ready Player One, you just said, is one of your favorite books, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How'd you like the movie?
It's different. The book is better, but I think the movie is good in its own right. I think the changes that they made were welcome, and really, I think it gives it a different experience.
Okay.
And I think both can stand on their own, actually. So
Okay.
So I just picked up Ready Player One as an audiobook, so I'll probably start that after Christmas.
Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Will Wheaton reads it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He does a good job.
Yeah. And I just finished reading 12 Years a Slave, so I didn't mention that, but
Nice.
Certainly the movie did a really good job portraying that story. So there's some places where I feel like they embellished just slightly, and there's other places where I felt like they probably should have really shown this as being a real clear tragic thing, but otherwise it was pretty true to the story.
Yeah, other than that, I got all my retro consoles hooked up, so I'm gonna get into some retro gaming here soon. I got some I want to get into I've never played Wind Waker, so I want to play that. And then I got some old like sports and racing games I want to just tackle that I grew up playing. So, yeah.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I think that is a wrap. So until next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.